Okay, let's talk about something that's officially jumped from the movie screen right into our meeting schedules: artificial intelligence. It's not just a buzzword anymore, it's a fundamental skill. And getting fluent in AI is fast becoming a non negotiable for pretty much everyone in the workplace.
And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is AI a threat or is it your team's next superpower? There's a lot of nervousness out there for sure, but also a ton of excitement about what this all means for our jobs. So, in the next few minutes, we're going to cut through all that noise and give you a really clear way to turn that uncertainty into a real advantage. All right, first things first, we have to get beyond the hype. We're going to build a solid foundation here, cutting through the jargon to get to what AI really is and how it actually works. It seems like such a simple question, right? But the answers can get, well, they can get complicated fast. We hear the term thrown around constantly, but what are we actually talking about? Let's strip away the science fiction and get to a simple, practical definition. So here's the simple truth of it. Forget all the conscious robots from the movies. At its core, AI is just the ability of a computer to do things that usually need a human brain, things like learning, reasoning, or solving problems. It's not about creating a new person, it's about building an incredibly powerful tool. Now, here's where we clear up some confusion. You hear all these terms: AI, ML, deep learning. The easiest way to think about it is like a set of Russian dolls. Artificial intelligence is the biggest doll, the whole big idea of smart machines. Inside that, you've got machine learning, or ML, which is really the engine driving most of the AI we use today. And then inside that, you have deep learning, which uses these complex networks, kind of inspired by our own brains, to do really sophisticated stuff. The main takeaway: when people talk about AI today, they're almost always talking about machine learning. So we know that AI systems learn from data. But how? How does that actually happen? Let's pop the hood for a minute and demystify the mechanics that make these systems so powerful. This really shows you the fundamental shift in how we build things. For decades, software ran on rigid if-then rules. A programmer had to sit there and write out an explicit instruction for every single possibility. If this happens, then do that. It was brittle. The new way is totally different. Instead of feeding the machine rules, we just feed it tons of data, and it figures out the patterns and the rules all by itself. That's the magic right there. And it learns in three main ways. First, you've got supervised learning. Think of this like teaching a kid with flashcards. We show it thousands of pictures and say, this is a cat, this is not a cat. Then there's unsupervised learning. This is where we just dump a massive amount of unlabeled data on the AI and say, find the interesting patterns in here. It's kind of like a detective solving a mystery with no initial clues. And finally, there's reinforcement learning, which is all about trial and error. The AI tries things and we reward it when it does something right, just like training a dog with treats. Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. Now for the most important question. So what? Let's move from the theory to the tools you can actually use right now. And just as important, the risks you absolutely need to know about. The funny thing is, AI isn't some technology that's coming in the future. It's already here, and it's probably woven into your daily work more than you think. Every time you use a smart search, or your email helps you finish a sentence, or you get an automatic summary of a meeting, yep, that's AI, and it's already making you more productive. But the thing that changed everything, that was generative AI. This was the massive leap from systems that could just understand or sort information to systems that can create brand new things. We're talking totally new text, images, even computer code. This has completely upended how we think about creating content. Which brings us to a huge, huge word of warning. These AI systems can sound incredibly convincing. They sound authoritative, they sound confident, and you really need to hear this, they can be completely, utterly wrong. It's a phenomenon that we call an AI hallucination. And these hallucinations are just the tip of the iceberg. You have to manage a few other major risks. For one, if an AI learns from biased data, guess what? It's going to give you biased results. It's that classic garbage in, garbage out problem. Then there's the huge risk of data privacy and intellectual property leaks if your team is using public AI tools with sensitive company info. And on top of all that, the legal stuff around copyright and security is, well, it's a bit of a Wild West right now. The bottom line is, you've got to proceed with your eyes wide open. Okay, so knowing the risks is half the battle. The other half is knowing how to actually work with these things effectively. So let's get into the skills you and your team need to develop to work with your new AI partner safely and productively. I absolutely love this way of thinking about it, the buddy cop model. Just think of AI as your partner on the force. It handles the grunt work, right? The speed, the scale, the heavy data lifting. Your job, the human's job, is to bring everything the AI lacks: your judgment, your creativity, your common sense, and most importantly, your ethical oversight. It is a partnership, it is not a replacement. So, how do you talk to your new partner? The key skill is called prompting. And honestly, it's becoming one of the most valuable skills you can have. And this simple 4-part framework is your cheat code to getting great results. First, give the AI a role. Tell it who to be. Then, give it a clear task. Be specific. Next, and this is crucial, give it all the necessary context. And finally, tell it the exact format you want the answer in. You master this simple formula, and the quality of what you get back will skyrocket. All right, let's bring this all home. We've talked about what AI is, how it learns, and how to work with it. So let's wrap up by looking at what this all means for the future of our jobs and the skills that are going to matter most. If you take away one single thing today, let it be this. The goal of AI in the workplace is not to make people obsolete. It is to augment them. It's about automating the boring, the repetitive, the tedious stuff so that we are freed up to do the strategic, creative, and empathetic work that, frankly, only we humans can do. So in this new world, what skills become even more valuable? Well, if an AI can generate answers, our value comes from asking the right questions. That's critical thinking. If AI runs on data, our ability to understand that data is everything. And because AI doesn't actually understand the world, our ability to apply humane judgment and ethical reasoning becomes our absolute superpower. These are the skills that are going to define who succeeds in the years ahead. So let's end on this thought. The future isn't humans versus machines. It's humans with machines. The people who thrive are going to be the ones who learn to collaborate with AI while doubling down on all the amazing skills that make us human. So the question is no longer if you're going to use AI in your work, but how quickly you can master it to your advantage. Are you ready to be the human part of that human plus AI equation?